Hi everyone and welcome to today's episode of Fusion UX, reaching out to you all the way from the sunny island of Sri Lanka, where we explore the depths of UX design to uncover what makes a product not just functional but delightful and intuitive to use. I am Mudita Batagoda. I'll be your host for the day. Today, we are diving into a fascinating topic which is called the invisible usability. It's all about designing experience which is so seamless, so intuitive that the users achieve their goal without even thinking about the interface. Think about how Google predicts your search or how Netflix recommends your next bring-worthy show. These experiences don't just work, they feel like they're magical. They feel almost like they're magical and it comes to you naturally. That is called invisible usability. By the end of this episode, you will understand the principles behind the invisible usability and how to apply them in your own designs, and even the challenges and ethics that comes with making interfaces disappears into the background. Let's start with why does it matter? In today's fast-paced world, the users don't have time to navigate clunky or like cluttered interfaces or figure out how there are like complex systems. It is such a frustration because people are lazy. Invisible usability is the gold standards for modern designs because it removes the friction and lets the users focus on what they really matters, which means their goals. Let me take you up in a very quick example. Think about how Spotify, if you're using Spotify, have you noticed the Spotify lets you search for a song, play it, and creates a playlist all in a second. You don't have to manually check everything. You just have to check search or Google something. Spotify does the work for you. It happens within seconds, and you're not thinking about buttons, menus, complexities, or like different structures, uh, terrible user journeys. You don't have to think about any of them. You just enjoy the music. That is invisible usability in action. It's a very simple example that we can come up with, but it is more in a high level. So let's break it down. Uh, to break this down, let's talk about the principles of invisible usability. Invisible usability doesn't happen by chance. It is a result of deliberate design choices grounded in key principles, which helps the designers to create the invisibleness in the usability. Let's explore these principles. First thing is anticipating the user needs. The first principle is anticipation. Great design predict what the users want before they even realize it. Think about autosave in Google Docs. You don't have to think about it, right? Oh, I need to save this. I have been working for 5 minutes, 2 minutes. I have just created a text. I need to save this. You don't have to think about it. Neither anyone, earlier days, if you remember, you have to save everything that you do, otherwise you everything get disappeared. Even if the application crashes, the laptop decide to desktop decide to shut down, or the government says, so you don't need power anymore, we're going to cut it off, it's going to disappear. So auto saving happens without telling anyone. It automatically saves. You just see the data that okay, there is a notification coming in and saying okay, your data is auto saved, and you don't have to worry about getting into trouble or your document not being saved. It is very seamless and very much invisible for the user's eyes, and it reduces the anxiety, and it actually builds trust when come to users and applications interactions. We will take a real world example. Let's talk about app called Uber. I think everyone knows the app called Uber. Imagine you open the app for Friday evening, ready to head home after a long day. Uber immediately displays your most common destinations at that time and your home address and suggests it as a default option. It also shows the estimated price and arrival time without you being required to add any additional data or additional inputs. Just once, within just one tap, your ride is booked. By anticipating your needs and streamlining the process, Uber makes the experience feels so effortless, right? If you think about adding all these details, where you want to go, what you want to do, which are the things, it is predefined for you, it is already added for you, it just give you suggestions. Okay, you want to go here, you have been here, where you want to go. It's just making a decision, quick tap, and it is really seamless and effortless for the user, which is the invisible usability. You don't have to notice the the interface, just how it is not there in the interface. Even you just feels it. You don't have to feel, you don't feel the effort even. It just feels really easy, or feel really trustworthy and seamless when come to the interaction. That is anticipation of the user needs, where the application anticipates the application users wants and needs. And the second principle is reducing the cognitive load. The cognitive load refers to the mental effort required to work with the product. You have seen many applications such as e-commerce applications which provides similar menu structures. If you say noodles, they will give you 100 different varieties of noodles, where if you are hungry, you might be wondering, okay, what should I eat? I have so many options. I have ramen, I have chicken, I have vegetable, I have just soup and noodles. What should I select? If the application is giving you suggestions, okay, you may be for the moment, what type of noodle that you want. Is it Chinese? Is it Japanese? Is it Indian? I'm not sure. Is there a type like that? But I'm just telling, there can be different types. Then you can choose properly. To achieve user invisibility, we just need to reduce this effort when it comes to the cognitive load. I will tell you a very, very simple example. If you remember, Amazon had a one-click buy option in a Prime example, in their Prime options. By removing, it actually removes unnecessary steps, where you have to go to the select an option to view the item, and then you go to the cart, and you go from the cart to select the payment options, everything. But Amazon came up with an option where it just says one-click buy. It removes all the unnecessary steps, where you buy a particular item rather than having to go to the basket, and then it allows you to complete purchase with it helps the users to purchase items almost effortlessly, which is a really good thing when come to reducing the cognitive load of the users, where they don't have to think and go through unnecessary amount of steps in order to make a purchase. And the third principle is seamless feedback and error handling. Invisible usability does not mean it is silent. The users need feedback, but the users should be suitable, and then these feedback coming from the application should be suitable and helpful. For instance, we'll take an example where Google's have an undo button after sending an email. You might be sending an email, but you might have forgotten to add attachments, which is a very common thing when come to corporate world. And if you are working with emails and all, this, you might be saying, I have this attachment in the document. You write it, but the actual attachment is not there. So what you do is, as soon as you send an email, Google will prompt a button saying, do you want to recall what you have done, or if everything is okay? This feedback is immediate, and then it says, okay, you have sent the email. Okay, if you have made a mistake, you can recall it. It does not actually disrupt the user's flow, and it actually helps the users prevent errors from happening, and you can recall and you can say, okay, I will attach it now. So it's in my peripheral view. I can attach it and now I can send it properly. It is a very good feature. It prevents the users making errors, and it does not disrupt the actual user's flow. And the fourth principle is consistency across contexts. Consistency ensures the users can transfer their knowledge from one part to the one part of the interface to the other. A good example for this is the drag and drop functionality in design tools in like such as Figma, which works the same way across the desktop and mobile versions. This familiarity makes the interactions feel such natural things. If you think about, let's say you don't know Figma, if you're not a designer, you're coming from different backgrounds. Take Windows, not Windows, but Microsoft package, where if you look into Microsoft, it has same structure, same menu structure, same layout structure. It feels really consistent. If you move from one application to another, it doesn't feel like it's a different application. It's coming. It has the same look and feel, the functionality, features wise, everything, but the application does different things. But mostly the look and feel makes the user feel welcome, and they are feeling like, okay, this is consistent. We don't make much errors. It feels natural when you're working with the applications, right? So that is consistency across context. And I want to talk to you about a very interesting, we have talked about principles in usability when achieving invisible usability. Now I want to talk about techniques to achieve invisible usability. So how can we achieve it? You know that theoretical aspect, you know the principles, but how can we achieve this? Let's dive into techniques which brings invisible usability into life. First one, design for flow status. Flow is the magical state when the user is so immersed in the activity they lose track of time. Our goals as designers to create interfaces that facilitates the flow. We'll take an example. Then again, we'll take an example such as Spotify. Spotify is very clean. It has a very clean interface, and it is very intuitive when it comes to navigation. Let the users focus entirely on enjoying the music. The interface doesn't demand attention. It supports the user's goals seamlessly. We'll take another example. One of the best examples that you can take is Audible. It's one of the Amazon applications. I've been using Amazon for a very long time. When I'm driving, when I'm working, I like to listen to audiobooks. What I do is when I'm traveling, I put the drive mode on, so it doesn't distract me at all. It doesn't give me any flashy backgrounds. It doesn't. It only provides the necessary controls for me to either skip or go back or increase or decrease volumes. Naturally I can do it from the phone itself. I don't need a specific feature from the an application itself. And if I want to select something, a different book, I can go back and do it seamlessly. And I feel like I don't get distracted by the application when I'm driving or when I'm at work or when I'm at, doing a design and listening to a book. I don't feel distracted because the application is very simple, and it doesn't, provide any jargon when come to, how you should be interacting with the application. It feels very simple. So that's for designing for flow status. The second technique that we can use to bring invisible usability into life is the visual cues. The visual cue guides the user without them even realizing it. Shadows, animation, the color changes, the contrast can indicate functionality for the users to think and interact. We'll take for an example. If you think about most applications, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or any other social media application, it has the pull to refresh functionality. If you remember, if you're using this application, or if you're using Twitter, now X, these applications has pull to refresh functionality, which is so subtle. It gives the visual cue without even an effort, which simultaneously informs the user and delight the user without an effort, which provides the invisible usability when come to application. And the third technique that you can use is the context aware design. The great designs, or the great designs, or great designs can adapt to users environment, which is a very cool functionality. If you think about Google Maps, or if you think about some applications, not all applications provide this. We'll take this example from Google Maps, where if you're driving for a long distance, and if you're driving from evening to night, you'll be able to see that the application interface shift from the bright white color to dark mode, where day mode and night mode is actually making a huge play when come to the usage, and making the application context aware. When you're at night, if the application is moving to the night mode, you feel like, okay, this application is acting according to the environment. Now it is night, that's why it is moving to night, or the night mode, which is context aware design. It feels, or it makes the application interfaces feel much more intuitive and much more connected with the users. If you think about most of the mobile applications or mobile phones these days, if you are traveling or walking in the sun, the contrast, the fonts, the brightness, the colors shift according to the context of use. If you are using the application or the phone at night, it brighten up, and if you are using it in the day, it brighten down. So it is easy for the users to read through and understand what is on the screen. So that is on the context aware design. And the fourth technique that you can use is the progressive disclosure. Progressive disclosure is to show the users only what they need at a given moment. Progressive disclosure simplifies the interface by hiding advanced options until they are needed. We'll take an example. In accordion menus, only the relevant sections expand first, and keeping and then if you want to move into sub areas or complex areas or advanced areas, it shows the advanced areas, keeping the interface clean and focused. The users can focus only on the important sections, and then from there they can make a decision. Okay, I want to go here, I want to expand this bit more so I can see other options as well. So they can see it after making the initial decision, which is the progressive disclosure, which is another technique to bring invisible usability into life. And the fifth one, and the last one, which I might say, is the invisible navigation. Navigation should be so seamless that the users don't even think about it. If you take an example coming from a very famous application, which is TikTok, it has the infinite scrolling, we call it doom scrolling even, which is a perfect example. The content appears effortlessly as you scroll. It is very seamless, right? It feels very smooth and continuous. If you scroll back up, if you scroll down, it has certain psychological methodologies which is used, which we will cover in a different topic, not here today. We are talking only about usability, so let's not go into in depth into psychological aspects. But it feels very smooth, right? If you are scrolling in TikTok, it feels really effortless. You scroll, it shows videos again and again and again, which is invisible navigation, where you can bring invisible usability into life. Right. So we talk about the principles, we talk about what we could do in order to bring invisible usability into life. Now we will move into challenges and ethical considerations, which is one of the most important areas when come to usability. Invisible usability isn't without its challenges and ethical considerations, obviously. Let's talk about them. For the first one is oversimplification. Sometimes, in pursuit of invisible usability, designers hide things too much. This can leave users feeling kind of frustrated because they don't know whether this application has or doesn't have the features that they want. We'll take an example to go through this properly. For an example, email applications that auto sort messages might make it hard for the users to find less obvious emails, right? If you are sorting it, if your application or the email service that you're using auto sorts messages, make depends on the pre-sort which is given by the application, it kind of disorient the users if they are searching or looking for a less obvious email, which is a quite a troublesome feature when come to actual usability of the application. If you are trying to make the application very simplified, you are not giving certain option immediately, the users will start feeling a little bit disoriented, or they feel like it's kind of frustration. It's kind of frustration when it come to application usage. And the second most important thing is the accessibility. Invisible usability must accommodate to all the users, including those with disabilities. And when come to hidden interactions like swipe gestures should be always accessible to the screen readers or as people with disabilities. Otherwise, we are in a risk of excluding a significant portion of our audience. This is a common problem when come to today's design. People are these are not, I'm really sorry for using the word people, but if you think about focus groups, stakeholders and designers are highly focused on the application usability, and then the aesthetic aspect of the design they omit. Most of the time they omit. Through oversimplification, we hide certain features that reduces certain usage coming from user groups which has certain accessibility issues, which is not a good thing when come to usable application. It should not exclude a certain set of users because they can't access the applications as temporary able people do. Okay, people without disabilities. If I use the word temporary disabled, it is a very common word. We are all temporary disabled. We have disabilities but temporary, but there are people with permanent disabilities which actually requires our assistance. So we should always focus on accessibility as well. The third one is balancing predictability and delight. If you think about the invisible usability, predictability is the key, and small surprises can add delight as well. For instance, Slack's, if you have used Slack as an application to communicate with people, it has delightful loading messages, which is kind of unexpected, but actually it doesn't disrupt the usability. It has a certain value to it. Yes, this surprise message, okay, it actually appears without letting the user know. It kind of a surprise, or these notifications or messages which is coming from Slack, but it is not disrupting any work. And even though these are unexpected, they are not that troublesome, which is it has a perfect balance on predictability and then delight. If you are creating certain notification, it should not be surprising the user. Okay, suddenly the message appears. Oh, what is that message? I didn't had much time. I wasn't expecting the message. Likewise, they should not be having any surprise which is discomforting them. It should be delight, surpriseful, okay, fine, but should not be disrupting any usability in the application. And the final and most important one is the ethical transparency. As designers, we have to be responsible for creating designs ethically. For example, autoplay features on streaming platforms are seamless but can encourage excessive usage of screen time. Think about TikTok. It actually, now there's a term called doom scrolling, just because these applications actually encourages users to scroll or keep the users excessively on screen time. Invisible usability should enhance the user experience but should not manipulate them. That is on ethical transparency. Now we know the principles, how we can bring invisible usability into life, and then ethical constraints. Which brings me to the final part of our discussion, the key takeaways. If you think about the key takeaways from our discussion, we have three major ones. Invisible usability is about removing friction and creating seamless experiences. And it is not just about making things look simple, it's about making them feel effortless, which is the first one. The second one is focus on anticipating the user's needs, reducing the cognitive load of the users, and providing them with meaningful, understandable, and discoverable feedback. So the users doesn't have to learn everything from the scratch. And the final one is don't forget accessibility and ethics as you design for invisibility, which is the most important thing on the key takeaways from our discussion. Now, I think we are in the end of our discussion. I know that you might have loads of questions, you might have loads of feedback to give it to me. I want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for listening in. And if you feel if you have any feedback, if you feel like okay, you can do these things in order to make the podcast much more easier for us to listen, you can give feedback to me. Please don't be shy. All constructive criticism or even negative feedback is welcome. Positive feedback, I would love to hear your thoughts as well. And please drop me a message, share your insights in the community. I'll just open up a community for you as well. So, and thank you so much for turning in, listening in. If you are listening from different countries, if you're listening to Sri Lanka, thank you so much for listening into my podcast. And if you have enjoyed your podcast, please don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your network. And stay tuned for next podcast, which is going to explore on usability in edge cases. We'll be talking about designing for unusual scenarios such as extreme weather conditions, low bandwidth users, or elderly audience where the usability plays a huge role. Until then, happy designing and have a great time. Keep on learning and keep on enjoying. Thank you so much.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.